Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever, however you are joining us. This is the I Speak Jeep podcast presented by SFJ4x4.com.
Are you sure?
My name is Neil.
Are you sure?
I am sure. And I am joined
Wow, he just
in
cut it off so quick. My name is
Grandma's
Neil.
Couch Studio.
Not Neil Simpson. Nothing,
No.
just
I was
Neil.
waiting for Scott to hit me with the "Are you sure?" You know.
Jeff doesn't seem
And-
sure.
Scott is back with us in studio. So those of
Yes.
you who tuned in last week or grabbed that podcast as soon as it dropped, A, we appreciate all three of you. B, you would have known that the Savage was on set with us. He spoke all of about 5 words at about 3 decibel rate. But people did enjoy his contribution to the process. So Jeffrey and I tried to hold it down. We did talk a little bit about their experiences and the media aspects of the business. Today,
Davey thought it was as bad as the Trainwreck episode of Scott and I. And Scott, I got to tell you, it wasn't even close.
it wasn't even close. But Davey sat over there, and if it would have been any warmer, beads of sweat would have been dripping down his face. He was terrified to be.
He didn't
I-
look very comfortable. I did see a picture later.
I
Yeah.
had to have the mic all the way up for him.
Hysterical. It was so good. It was so good. But today is a very a big day. So not only is the mad scientist back on set with us and reasonably healthy, still recovering from the
That is a
flu of 2024.
that is a bad juju, man.
Dude, it is such a bad flu this year. It is
Yeah.
such a bad flu.
And this should the people that know me will know how much this means, how bad it was. Go see your doctor when you get sick.
Yeah,
I don't like going to see the doctor. Yeah, this one you're not gonna get it.
this
done.
one knocks you off your feet.
You're not gonna get it done by yourself.
My wife's going on like day 10. She was already, had some immunocompromised situation going on, but she's definitely struggling with it too. I had it. Fortunately, my doctor was able to help significantly in the process, but it messes everything up.
Yeah, it's bad juju.
But today is a big day, and it is the official start of EJS. It actually started over the weekend.
Yep.
But the mothership Stellantis has graced us,
Blessed us.
with some concept vehicles, which we'll be talking about today. Also, hang in there because I'm going to be sharing with you just a absolute horrible thing that happened to me this weekend. So as far as our normal positive weekend updates, I'm going to let mine go by the wayside. I'm going to share with you an incredibly, terribly embarrassing situation. So
As you
you're going to
should.
want to hang in there with that. The producer seated here on Grandma's couch with me is diligently trying to prep a picture, the teaser photo, if you will,
Mhm.
of the Moab prototype concept vehicle
I
release.
know nothing about what's going over there, but it does not look like it's going quietly into the night. He's trying.
He's trying. He's
Well-
trying to blow it up and make sure that our viewing audience will be able to see a sneak peek of it.
There's lots of magic going on over there.
So Stellantis teased us that it would be released on Friday, and the Savage raced through and tried to make sure that we had a life and low range video for all of our YouTube, friends and family, and then and I was not holding my breath. I was not holding my breath because EJS kind of rolls out, and sure enough, they left us high and dry on Friday, so the video didn't come out. We had a wildly successful video the previous weekend, so we're still kind of dealing with that.
From what I could see, everyone that released anything is sleeping right now because it was 10 hours ago now.
Yeah, it's super weird because Stellantis, as of when I woke up and checked, there was nothing, and then as Jeffrey had pointed out, there was 3 or 4 kind of media outlets had
Yeah.
said, hey, we've got something ready to go. It was about 9 hours ago. And Davey was like, yep, 1 minute ago, Stellantis updated and had pictures, had blessed us.
Car and Driver was 10 hours ago.
Yep.
Yeah. So, real quick in the comments, Amy is saying good morning. Amanda is saying morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Rob saying good morning. Joe saying morning. And Don saying good morning, guys. Keep up all the great work you do.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
I think what I'm going to go out on a venture here, and I'm just going to comment on Amanda saying good morning. I see her last name is Amanda Hill. I'm going to kind of assume that might have been Roy. So either Roy, Roy's in Facebook jail, or he's logged into the wrong profile. Either way, we're glad that you're here with us.
Yes.
And if you're not related to Roy, welcome to the party as well.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to go out on a limb for our usual audience who joins us in the live and recognize them in that process. But, of course, everybody else I know are friends to.
It is his wife.
Hey! Hey! You know what? I like you better already. That's I have no basis on that one. The better half, right? I guess it was a big weekend for Ben Franklin Range, which used to be, formerly Scrubgrass. Obviously, that was the property I went down to and epically failed at on New Year's Eve. Also, I should mention for folks who can't listen, I'm wearing my my signature hat.
Yeah.
Do you know why? Because winter won't die. I wore it a lot in the beginning, and then I kind of transitioned away from it. And now I decided, since it's kind of thinking about warming
It
up,
just keeps coming back in the
it just
room
keeps coming
yelling.
back. I'm just gonna put on my big boy hat, and I'm
Now
gonna
that
be.
it's going to be 60 degrees today.
I am warding it off like sage and incense.
Warding off the 60 degrees? How dare you?
No, I'm warding
so
off.
anyways,
the prolonged
Ryan
winter.
Ryan said morning, gents. Gentlemen, of course, used loosely.
Yeah. Well,
Chip is saying morning,
good morning.
and Joe is saying she's smarter than Roy.
I think that's
That's probably true for
That's
everyone.
about most of our wives.
Yes.
So it comes down to simple things. But regardless, you were so busy. Do you wanna say anything?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't.
Last
where
week
did
he was like Jeff. It was just like Jeff.
That time has passed.
No, that
Yeah.
that was 2 weeks ago. Last week was the Savage going. I'm Davey.
Davey.
Dave.
I'm Dave.
What do you do,
Dave's not
Davey?
here.
I film.
I film. It was.
You guys say I don't have all the excitement.
Oh my gosh. Just something special there.
Or were we doing weekend up? I really wasn't paying attention.
No,
I
I
was
know,
trying to
you
get
were
that picture
so-
loaded for you. I have
Do you
no
have that
idea.
picture? Are you going to be able to show that picture to our viewing audience?
Sure.
He hopes.
Oh, your production value is so confidence inspiring. That's remarkable.
No, it's just the truth. We're
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so for those of you who are listening in, if this is your first time joining us, you can always join us live on Facebook, 1019 a.m. on most Mondays, not next Monday. Next Monday will be the observation of Easter Monday. The following Monday will be a special solar eclipse episode because that's ultimately what will be happening in the afternoon.
We're right in the crosshairs.
We are in the total eclipse
Path.
path.
Path
So
of
the
totality.
Path of totality. It's such a daunting name. Path
Right.
of totality.
Well, between that and then the double brood of cicadas this year, I
They'll be
mean,
fine.
and the flu. This
and the
10-day flu that
Yeah. Flu of
rivals any
2024.
other disease that I've had to this point. Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly up for an interesting year.
oh yeah.
But so we will not be on air next week. But we hope that you go on and find some of our old episodes you can listen, enjoy, and that you have a blessed Easter holiday with family, friends, and whoever you choose to make your family. So don't look for us then, but look for us the following week. Weekend updates before I get to mine.
So it was a fight, but my wife did help me over the time of me dying. That she got me my piece I needed for my heater.
What did you need for your heater?
So for those that don't know, earlier flathead like what's in my 36 Ford does not have an easy time for putting a warm water heater into it. They didn't really do that until like 48 to 49 on.
Yeah, heaters in general were options.
Well, basically, you had a couple different types. You had what my car originally had, which had a warm air off.
you were
the
just supposed to
manifold,
you were
Exhaust
just
gas.
supposed to suck exhaust gas.
sort of.
Yeah.
And then the upgrade from that was a gasoline heater, where you literally drilled and tapped the side of your carburetor and had a gasoline line come into the car, and it caught it on fire for you in the car. So that was an upgrade.
Perfectly okay. I see nothing wrong with this.
As you can see, this is
So
less
Why
than
didn't you do
firewall.
that? That seems like more period correct. You want to do a period hot rod. Why did you not do a gasoline
Well,
burner?
because it's 1954 when I'm doing this, so we've learned at that point that we can have hot water circulate in the car.
Oh, okay.
So I just had to talk the 1947 motor into doing this for me. Luckily, getting it out the head was not too hard. I just was able to drill and tap my $1,000 heads for a pipe. Yeah, it was fine. Had a vacuum in one port while I'm drilling it
The
on the
engine is
motor.
already built and beautiful,
Oh, yeah,
and now you're
fine.
drilling the
It's aluminum.
$1,000 heads.
It's fine. So then I had to have some sort of return, and for those that don't know, a cooling system on a flathead is split down the middle. The right side does not share with the left side unless the radiator connects the two. That's it. So you literally had to have 160 degrees on the left side and 180
I'm gonna
on
bring.
the other.
I'm gonna side note and say modern day engines, just so our listening audience is aware that the coolant basically makes a giant loop or
Yes.
a couple loops, basically.
Yeah.
To circulate the heads, the block, the radiator, and the heater core, right? So
Yes.
there's a series of a couple loops, and so that's why it's so unique about your design. There's
Correct.
not these multiple loops; they are isolated channels.
And the reason why put you all to sleep is because that was one of the first motors that was one piece of a block all made casting at once. Before that, motors were kind of pieces that bolted together to make a block.
It's always fascinated me, honestly.
So any which way, I finally found a piece that goes in the lower radiator hose, and we're talking a hose that's 4-ish inches long,
Okay.
and this piece is like half of that. That has a pipe coming off the side for a 5/8 heater hose,
I already fell asleep.
and so because obviously everyone is doing this. The part was
Of course.
available on O'Reilly's, AutoZone, and Amazon.
No, it was not.
And for some reason, I was in a hurry, but didn't know why. And O'Reilly's promised they would have it first. So I ordered that. And before I got sick, that Sunday, they gave me the call and said, "Hey, it's in." I was excited, and I ran up there. And the guy on the phone's like, I don't know what you want this part.
Weird.
Oh?
Weird.
Yeah, it looks like it's been around for a while, and it's kind of corroded, and the package is all broken. Can I come look at it? Yeah, okay. So I go up and I look at it.
At least they warned you.
And it looked like, how plastic for a package can be in a window for like 18 years, and how
Yeah.
it yellows and then
Yeah.
it starts to degrade and fall apart.
100%.
That's what it looked like.
Huh.
And the down in where the pipes were all connected was this rust that was like, "I see you, Rust. You are not. You're there for the long haul."
No.
So he's like, "I already ordered you another one. It'll be here on Wednesday." So then Monday morning, I succumbed to my illness.
Succumb to the plague.
So Wednesday, I wake up from my fever, and I'm like, "Oh crap! My thing's supposed to be in today." So I sweet talk my wife, and taking this travesty of this pipe and the receipt to go up there and get it exchanged.
Right.
And she goes up there, and the guy had told me Sunday, "Well, I'll see you on Wednesday." He was nowhere to be found. No one there knew what she was talking about, so they ordered it again.
Oh, dear.
Even all went into orders. They're showing her orders. There's no pending orders. The new to me one was supposed to be coming from Illinois. They don't know where that one went, or Indiana actually. I'm sorry. This new one was coming from Michigan.
New one.
Would be in later. So finally, she comes back. Hey, they tried. Here's the old rusted one still. So I'm like, and she's like, "Well, you're not fixing it or doing anything with it right now." I was like, "Well, thank you, Captain." I obviously am not, but I'm still want my part.
Right.
So, let's see, how did that go then? Then finally, I think Thursday, we got a call late that they miraculously had found the piece. And so she went up there and exchanged it for me. Finally, again, and I
Was
had
this
all
the
the
Illinois
pieces.
piece or the Michigan piece?
I have no idea.
Oh,
I
it's
don't.
just-
I was
It
past.
just miraculously showed up
It
in your
yes.
delirium.
It didn't matter. So finally, over the weekend, I felt good enough to go out there and hook everything up. So physically, plumbing wise, for coolant, the heater is all done. Before I got sick, I was able to find a 12-volt fan to put in the heater because we're using an old school vintage heater, originally
Of
6
course.
volt. It's been restored at this point months ago, and it is physically bolted in the car finally. And so now I had to order some thermostats that a friend of mine makes.
I saw that. It was a pretty cool, social.
shows
Just something you showed on, shared on social.
Yeah, it shows them making them, kind of a special product. Those are on their way. So once those arrive, I will be able to put the upper
Now, do
radiator
you have
hoses on.
Dose thermostats because of the
Everything is Dose. on the
everything is
cooling
Dose
system.
because of that isolated
Yes.
system on the engine.
Yeah.
I thought that might be the case. I thought that was.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure I said
Yeah, we
something
have-
online because of that unique design you're talking about.
2 lower radiator hoses, 2 water pumps, 2 upper radiator hoses, 2 thermostats. Yeah.
Yeah.
Two temperature gauges.
Fascinating.
Yes. So once those are in, I'll actually be able to put coolant in it finally. And then he is also the one working on the special spark plug wires and looms. Once those come, I can finish the ignition,
Cool.
and then I can finish my fuel because he also makes those parts,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe be able to make some noise. So I
Hey,
am
we'll be
so
looking
close.
forward to that. We'll be looking forward to that.
So that is my exciting update.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems impactful.
And now there is probably 3 less of those special pipes in the world.
Ha! You've consumed them all.
And jumping back to the comments here, Bill is saying, good morning, guys.
Good morning,
Roy,
Bill.
Roy has joined us and said thanks for the birthday wishes last week.
Absolutely.
And then Fred is, need to buy good used parts from anything for a Jeep.
I wish he had 36 Ford
I was going to
parts.
say 36 Ford parts, Fred. Fred, we believe that. I mean,
I've been there. I've seen it.
right. Yeah,
He
for
was
sure.
enticing me with Jeepster parts. I was like, I need to finish my Ford first.
Right. Right. Jeffrey, anything you want to say about coming up here in 2-3 weeks?
So a couple weeks away is the big event in Erie for Heberly's Heartstrings. It's the Jason Heberly Memorial Open Mic Competition. And we have 30 artists registered to play, each getting the opportunity to perform one of their original songs. We actually have people in a standby list in case any of those artists can't
Yeah.
perform. It's
Pretty
insane
impressive.
how many people want to be on that stage competing for cash prizes. And it's going to be just a fun night. It's free to attend for anybody to go and just enjoy music. It is a fundraising event, so there'll be raffles, there'll be drawings, all sorts of things going on,
Cool.
and merchandise for people to purchase.
That's excellent.
So that's going on. I was working on some house projects over the weekend, just trying to get some more of the house done, just in general, repairs and maintenance, whatever.
Yeah.
And then also Morgan, our 8-year-old son, decided he really wanted his ears pierced. He's been asking for months, and we made a deal with him about a month and a half ago. He followed through on his end of the deal every day.
Which is impressive at his age.
Sure.
Yes, he was very dedicated to getting them, so we went and got his ears pierced on Sunday.
Cool.
So, and he chose Spider-Man red earrings for
Nice.
his initial.
Nice. Good for him. It's like accessorizing your Jeep. You got to
Yeah.
pick your accessories
Yeah.
appropriately. No doubt. All right, I'm going to tell this incredibly embarrassing story, right?
We'll be the judge of that.
Oh, it's awful.
Now,
It also-
it's important for our audience to note that you refused to tell us the story ahead of time. So
did.
this
I'm-
is the first we're going to be hearing it.
I
I'm
did.
just used to it.
And
at this
I think
point.
what is fantastic is that it's just so authentically ridiculous, and it does involve a level of jeepdom and us as individuals.
expect
and all-
nothing less.
Right. So, of course, phenomenally, full weekend as far as sales of property in Pennsylvania and moving and relocating, and it was cold and.
It's snowing.
I had the whole 9 yards, right? And so what ends up happening is sometimes because of the transitional nature of building the house, my wife and I building the house and selling our old house and property, we'll get behind in laundry, right? Because humans, that's what happens.
Yeah.
And I have a friend who owns a laundromat, and as part of that, they will do a pay for service per the pound of laundry. So I go to take this laundry in we got behind, so I go to take the laundry in to the laundromat to have them do just your general towel load type of nature of clothes. And I had found a hamper by the door, and I didn't think anything of it. I just tossed it into into the bag.
into the mix.
Into the mix, right? And then underneath this hamper was an SFJ hat of mine. Now I have my fantastic wintry hat here, which I love desperately, but I had in that moment misplaced it. So I thought, I am so tickled that I found my SFJ 4x4 hat under this random hamper that I don't know how it ended up at the back door and blah blah blah. And I thought, cool. I grab it, I throw it in my pocket, I head outside. And as I'm loading this bag, I this is incredibly vulnerable and embarrassing, smells like cat pee. And I'm like,
Meh.
this is no good, right? So obviously the cat got in there, did something on the laundry, not happy with the cat.
Yes.
And
I think I know where this is going.
I get this loaded up into the back of Jeep and I head over to the laundromat, right? So I go, I put the hat on my head, and
Bad choices
at that
were
point in
being made
time,
already.
and I'm going, and I call my wife from the Jeep, and I'm like, Jen, like, what is up? And she was like, honey, that basket was at the door because I found like a towel that was soiled on and by the cat, and I threw it in that basket, and it was supposed to be separate. And I was like, oh, that's no good. You know what I mean? That's no good at all. I said, I mixed it into the
Yes.
hamper of
It's
the other
all-
towel clothes.
It's all dirty.
It's
now.
all dirty. It's all in there right now.
Yeah.
And so I get to the laundromat and I walk in and I'm just like, these bags stink. Like I can't get the stench off of me, right? And the person who actually does the laundering is a Jeep owner as well. And
It's better ask for forgiveness.
so
than
I
permission.
said,
Ryan
I
calls that the
apologize.
cat is actually in the bag.
So I said, I apologize. My wife tried to separate this laundry out. I did not know,
Yes.
but it appears that there's some extra soiled linens in there. And they said, hey, we promise you.
We've seen it all.
We've seen it all. We've
Yes.
seen worse. They've already done some of our laundry, so they know that, what we're bringing to the table. And they go, we promise that this is, like, we're not going to judge you, this is not the worst. But can I ask you about my Jeep in the moment? And I was like, yeah, totally. So at this whole time, I'm going, man, this cat pee smell is horrible, right? I'm like, I can't get over this. So we go out to this person's Jeep. And we are shoulder to shoulder, basically, as we're looking at the front drive shaft. And I'm trying to explain to them how the pinion bearings are blown out in their front drive shaft, and they've got no four-wheel drive, basically.
Your hat was
There's
part of the
parasitic
soil.
drag.
Hat-
and
hat
I
on your head.
I drop the laundry off, and I get back in the Jeep. I call my wife back. I'm like, Jen, the Jeep smells still. Like, I can't get over it. I am not 5 minutes from the laundromat, and all of a sudden, I'm like, this is just outrageous. Like, the smell should have gone away. I pull the hat off my head, and it is just disgusting, the reek of it, I literally pulled off to the side of the road. I took that because I'm stingy and I love SFJ 4x4, and I put it in the spare tire of the Jeep. I put it outside in the spare tire, and I drove the rest of the way home.
Tried
It's
to get air therapy.
I'm trying to get air therapy. It's currently soaking in some OxyClean at this point. But I just felt like I tell these people, I was like, oh, yeah, it's a little extra soiled. Cat got into a hamper, and and this person's trying to look at the Jeep. I can only imagine what they thought. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is like the worst. I'm wearing
You're
a
that
cat
crazy
pee
cat
hat.
lady
I'm
that
the
everyone tries
crazy-
to avoid at the grocery
I'm
store.
the crazy cat lady.
if they don't understand, they haven't had cats.
I know, right? And it's animals growing old. Our cat's 17, 18 years old, and and I'm not
At
making
least
excuses.
when they're older, that's a little bit understandable. When they're just kind of mean, when they do that,
spiteful
cats.
animals. Oh,
I feel
my
like you've
God.
been touched by that.
I might have a slightly spiteful cat.
Right. Yeah. So there was my vulnerable weekend update for everyone listening today, and unfortunately,
I gotta say, I am so glad you didn't wear that hat today.
oh my God, right?
I wouldn't be sitting here. I would have
Right.
walked away and been like, nope, we're not
No,
doing it today.
well, we're just glad I figured it out. Like I
Yeah.
just didn't know.
Could have kept
Ridiculous.
going from that point.
Oh yeah, it could have just kept going. It could have, but it was so it smelled so bad I couldn't figure out. But I just assumed it was the laundry.
Ryan
right.
goes, you were pissed.
Yeah, but
literally.
I couldn't get home and shower fast enough. I was so grossed out. I mean, it's one thing. It was on my head. That's the
Yeah.
worst. All right, Easter Jeep Safari. Well, how about that transition?
yeah.
So today marks. Well, not today marks. I guess it actually started technically Friday, Saturday, Friday. The 58th annual Easter Jeep Safari, and we're specifically going to be talking about the concept vehicles or the prototype vehicles that Jeep likes to tease us about. And then arguably we're going to touch on the subject, but you're going to want to check out the YouTube video that we drop very, very soon. And it's going to chronicle the last, 14, 15 years, more than 14, 15 years, 16 years.
And if you've been following
Um,
along to our podcast, the last 2 years, we teased the concepts
We
as
did
they came
tease.
out.
Yep.
So
This year we're right on the forefront of it, and we want to push that coverage for you. And it's going to be a generalization, but we're going to get into a little bit of why is Easter Jeep Safari so special, and then share with you what these 4 concept vehicles are. I am surprised that there's only 4.
I think they're going to release more.
I see. The thing is, in the past,
I feel like they've done this before.
potentially, right? And there was a couple of those teaser photos that I don't know that we exactly saw in these 4.
The other thing it could be is I've heard that they are retracting back a little bit from shows.
So I do.
Maybe this is it. I don't
So
know.
I do mention briefly in the in my chronicle of these. Oftentimes, as a corporation, they'll give us this really big over the top showing for a year or two, and then they'll kind of tighten their purse strings and
Right.
pull back a little bit in the process. So they might only release 4.
Yeah.
But the challenge is they give us these teasers, right? They give us just these little, as you were mentioning the last couple of years, they give us just like a quarter panel shot and like
Yeah.
a dimly lit shot and just like a
Or
little
just,
all
graphic.
fuzzed out.
Or just
Yeah.
like a sketch of it real quick.
Yeah.
Right. And so we don't know if this is all 4 of them or if there is yet to be 1 or 2 more released.
Oh, and then like I figured out that you have people that are going in and they're so desperate to be the first on scene to release.
Yeah,
this.
you got caught.
I got caught in there releasing not even this year's concepts and saying they're this year's concepts.
Yeah, there was somebody YouTubing last
Yeah.
week that had just changed the title of their 2023 video
Yes,
to 2024.
I see you. That's not cool.
And Scott shared it to us. He was like, "Hey, the concepts are out." And we're like, we think we saw these last year."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so the 2024s are been released. There's an official release. There's 100 plus photos on Stellantis' website. You're going to want to check out our YouTube.
Davey tried to crash
page.
my computer with those 100-some photos.
Oh my gracious! What a whiner!
they move like an inch over and take another picture, and move an inch over, take
They were
another picture.
artistic. They were artistic.
Davey's
photos.
like, here's 4 photos for you to download so that we can
He
put them
meant
up on the
104.
Yeah.
so
I'm like, download. I'm watching this file grow, and it's a zip folder. I'm like, what? This is not 4 photos. What is going
right,
on?
Right. We will have a photo we'll put up on screen for our viewing audience. But we're gonna kind of take you on a quick path. But if you want to know more, you're gonna head over and check out our YouTube video where we talk about some of those prototypes over the years. There's a lot of people who are making the case right now for why Moab, why this trail system. KOH, King of Hammers, has become incredibly popular in the last decade. You have a lot of local off-road events and shows. And so there's a number of people saying, hey, what is the relevancy to Easter Jeep Safari? Why does it still command such a presence in our industry? Why is it at the forefront of our industry?
Or if you're like me and kind of, we're in the car stuff and you just are more recent in the Jeeps, you have no idea what the EJS even is other than they release these concept vehicles.
Potentially.
So, I actually did some digging on that for you as well.
Yeah, so I think it's a pretty cool history, and I know a handful of it because I kind of love and admire the historical aspect of the Jeep and off-road industry. I was always a car enthusiast, but I've always been a Jeep truck 4x4 guy,
Right.
whereas you came more from the car market over.
Right.
So what do you got for the start date? And let's compare our our notes, your notes in my mind. Let's see
So
what we got.
It started in 1967 by the Moab Chamber of Commerce. From 67 to 82, you literally just showed up the day of it opening
Yes.
at the trail you wanted to run and said, hey, see that trail right there? I want to run that. They're like, cool. Here's a paper. Sign it. Okay, now go.
Yeah,
do
it was like a Saturday. It was only like a
Yeah,
1 or 2
it was a
day.
one-day-ish
It was a
thing.
1 day ish, right? That's what's valuable
Yeah.
to say. It's a 1 day ish, and it's pretty loose.
Yeah.
It was a Chamber of Commerce, and I think it's interesting because if you're familiar with Bantam Jeep Heritage Festival, and maybe a little bit of Toledo,
Very similar.
yeah, it's so similar that they looked at it from a
Like a bunch of enthusiasts got together, like, this would be fun to do this. And then everyone showed up.
correct.
And each year, even more show up.
Sure.
That's exactly what
And it's a
happened
way
here.
to draw attention to the positive attributes of that, geographical location.
So in 82,
The
there was
BLM.
the BLM required a permit and insurance, and the chamber could no longer run it. So they elected to have Red Rock Four Wheelers Off-Road Club to take over the event.
So, and just so we're all on the same page, this is Bureau of Land Management, right?
Yes.
Which, to this day, as as enthusiasts and governmental agencies are concerned, we're still working through these relationships. In general, so BLM steps in and they start to permit and license things.
Yep.
And Red Rock is willing. They're a super old club. They existed
Yeah.
before this.
Yep.
And they were doing activities. And they
They just kind of took over in an
just
official
took over in
capacity.
an official capacity.
So, and at this point, it is a 9-day event. It goes from the 23rd to the 31st this year. And it is consists of trail rides, which are mostly day-long trips, departing from Moab. You must provide your own four-wheel drive vehicle. You take care of your own food and drinks.
Yep.
And the sponsor list, that was the other thing I was really impressed with. Like, you kind of get an idea, but until you actually go on and look at it, I mean, we have Jeep, Rockslide Engineering, Dana, Rock Jock, Terraflex, Weston/Super Winch, Real Truck, Bilstein, Rancho, RCV, Owens, which is a shock manufacturer that I've
Yep.
only ever seen on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious.
Weird.
Best Top, AEV, DV8, Progressive Suspension, and Mickey Thompson.
Yeah. I mean,
That
it's a
is
who's
a
who's.
big list.
It's a who's list. And the
Which was really cool is the club is very still much a small club essence. You can see that online. Their website is very simple. And then you're like, oh, here's our sponsors. And it's boom.
it's throwback. It's
Yeah.
exactly how the industry used to work.
It
was
reminds
not
me
a
of a
popularity.
little event we used to go to over in Newcastle. That
Yes.
literally, this is the vibe I get from this. It just the event's still going where ours has sadly ceased. It was just kind of crazy. Like, wow, I had no idea that this is A, what the event actually was, and B, this is how long it had been
Yeah.
going on for.
And I think it's I think your association with and I'm just give credit where credit's due, HRJA
Mhm.
and the event that they ran in Newcastle was just this very much rooted in a purist and I don't mean purist as in like original numbers matching, but
Right.
like I'm just happy to have a 4x4 vehicle that Jeep branded.
Yep.
I don't care what color it is. I don't
Nope.
care if there's an angry girl on it. I don't care whose brand is hanging out where.
Right.
I
There
didn't
was a
take.
spot for everybody.
There was a spot for everybody. I didn't take 14,000 Instagram photos and make it a popularity contest. It's about just kind of getting out there with with what's on your back and using your Jeep
with other passionate
with
Jeepers.
other passionate Jeepers. And I think that's the big thing about EJS is it's about using your
Yes.
Jeep. There is a 3-day conference or event, show, if you will.
right.
But it's nothing like our shows that we have here east of the Mississippi.
And if you want to literally do this event, you just literally go on this club's website, register your vehicle.
Yep.
Obviously, you have to have your permits and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, really? Like, this is so not a big deal,
Yeah,
but it's such a big deal.
correct. Correct. And all of those fees and the different things that the fees that they collect in the process really do just go back to
BLM.
the Bureau of Land Management in
Yeah,
support
just to
of
give you the option of actually being able to still do this.
right, the fact that we still have access to these historical trails, which is incredibly important, and that's where this money is going towards.
Yep.
And the town of Moab swells to about 20,000 plus for the week.
Yeah.
So you have these little mom and pop diners. You have these little, kind of little
This is when you
spaces.
make your year of revenue right now.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it was also really cool to see, like, there's a group of flat fender guys that get together, and they will they're part of the event, but they're kind of almost a separate entity at the same time, where they're like, hey, we're all registered together. We're all going to do this certain trail series together as a group, all in flat fenders.
Sure.
So, which is also thought was very cool, because now you have an event in an event of
Yeah.
sorts.
Yeah.
So even the retro guys are like, hey, we're gonna go back to the origination of it, because people have been taking flat fender Jeeps over these trails forever.
Yeah, for decades.
Since
yeah.
the Jeep was new.
Yeah, right. And that's actually, there's some pretty cool historical footage on the YouTubes
Yes.
where you can see some of these
The guys in
CJ5s
the
and flat
flannel.
fenders. Absolutely, the guys in the flannel out there
Yes.
working these trails. And there are a number of events where people are gladiator trucks are
Yes.
going out as a group, and there's so you have people who are saying, hey, we're all going out together. Dana Spicer goes out a week ahead of the event, and they do what they call Tech Week, and so they send 6 to 9 vehicles out there in any configuration, and they go out there and put their Jeeps through the paces. They actually took a Bronco. I don't know. I saw it on their rig running out there, and I just thought,
Oh,
whatever.
They had a whole group of Jeeps tow it back. It's fine.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, I think it's interesting. And if you watch our YouTube video coming up, I actually talk about the earliest years of Easter Jeep Safari. Easter Jeep Safari, Mopar, Chrysler, Daimler Chrysler. I guess it wasn't technically Stellantis at that point.
Just pick whatever
pick
flavor
some mothership
Chrysler was at some point.
They were actually running full-size Dodge pickup trucks out there in the early 2000s. They were actually testing their Power Wagon platforms. They were testing.
Makes sense.
It was a test bed for them, you know. And they were running, side by side with the Jeeps. So you can go out there and you can get involved. Now, one of the cool things about EJS, and this is what I'm so enamored by, and honestly, I have not done this despite how cool I think this is. And we have a lot of customers who do EJS. If you go back enough years, we what is now our big Hemi build, TJ. We'd actually, Greg and I did this big frame off, slinky suspension, big build. Customer, we shipped it back to Florida. Customer had it for 3 days. They drove it across the country, wheeled EJS. While out there, and we were talking with them, they went by themselves. They had some provisions where they were at in their life. They were able to book a hotel room, and he had planned, months in advance, and he had built this Jeep in advance of going. They met a young man who was in his mid to young 20s, and he had just basically woke up from like Michigan or something, woke up and was like, I'm going to get in my Jeep. I'm compelled by the Spirit. He was a contractor of sorts, and he woke up, he packed his bags, packed all his recovery gear, his tools, got in his TJ or YJ, drove across the country, had no hotels, no provisions, was literally sleeping out of his Jeep, upright in it, throw a bag out on the ground to stretch out a little bit. And
his family's actively looking for him.
but no, honestly, I know a number of people who have made that level of kind of vintage pilgrimage where they didn't need to have all the fancy bells and whistles, all the gadgets. They just
the best trip
got
is the
back
ones
to the
you
basics.
accidentally do.
You love that, right? And that has always stood out to me that this young man had. I mean, the stories he can tell at this point, because that was just such a cool endeavor as far as I'm concerned. So that's kind of what's rooted in the authenticity of this event. It's not really the glow up show up of say
Right.
SEMA, right, where
Right.
it's big and over the top and show vehicles and Bluetooth drive shafts and polished wheels.
You know what vehicles we're not going to have at SEMA? Bluetooth drive shafts.
We're not going to have those.
We're
at
not
SEMA.
gonna have them
no,
at SEMA.
No. Everything we build is functional, buddy. So, but as far as this particular event, it's about authentically using your vehicle.
Mhm.
So that's why it's valuable for Jeep to come out there and push the envelope with
Yeah.
these concepts.
and actually
so-
use them.
Yeah. So what do these concepts look like this year?
Well, let's see if the picture will come up.
Do you have some talking points there, Scott?
I do.
Okay.
So we have first the one in the very back of the picture Jeff just pulled up is the Jeep Vacationer.
The Vacationer.
It's based on the Wagoneer.
And it looks like it's got a...
It's a double E.
Is that a solar rooftop tent on top?
I believe so. It is made for doing some overlanding and camping out base. Of course, it has the flannel and plaid interior that everyone knows and loves that Jeep keeps teasing us with and then not putting in a production vehicle.
Tell us how you really
I was
feel.
going to say, it sounds a little salty over there.
Oh, not just me. Everyone online was salty. It's
The
just-
color is called spearminted.
yes.
So
Kind of looks like that.
for our
I'd
folks
say
who are
that.
listening at home and not able to see the pictures, it is this minty green. Is that going to be part of Blue Jeep Crew? That's what I want to know.
No.
It's too green for
Too
them.
green.
Spearminted is too green for them.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a
It's got
color
a
that
blue.
green won't like and blue will hate.
Correct. Unfortunately, spearminted. If that color does ever become into production, you don't have a home.
No,
I can
you're gonna
see
be
it
on your
now.
own. There's somebody that's own group, or you can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So-
So it's got an 1.5 lift on there.
It does.
So we have a Wagoneer lifted.
Yes,
I think it's kind of cool.
it's okay.
Yeah. I think Wagoneers are sexy. I'll be honest with you. I think they're super cool.
They're overpriced, but
They are. They are. I saw, and obviously you were talking about Jeep kind of pulling back the purse strings this year, and we are all fairly familiar that Jeep reported a 14% loss
Yeah.
overall on 2023. And they obviously let us as consumers know that by trying to discount everything.
Yes.
And recently they've announced that they're rolling back MSRP while still giving us lots of value added.
Yes.
We're supposed to feel good about the price we're paying for things.
Yes.
So
and then as far as the spearmint goes, Joe's in there going like a pack of gum.
exactly,
Very much so.
that's exactly what it looks like.
So our next concept is called the Jeep Wrangler Lowdown, which this is my pick for.
Well, wait a second. I'm not done with the Vacationer real quick
Okay.
because
You get your
it
3
is
seconds.
touting a 510 horsepower 3.0 engine out of the box.
Yeah, the new motor.
510 horsepowers in a grocery
Oh.
getter.
Yes.
Wow.
I just want to drive it, folks.
Right?
I mean, it's a pig. Don't get me wrong. It's a big old Jeep,
Now,
right?
with the lift that they have on it, has it still got the air suspension in it as well?
It doesn't mention. It just
Yeah.
says it has an
I'd be
inch and a half
curious if
lift.
I
the-
actually couldn't find a whole lot of information
No,
on that one specifically.
I think we're going to see more. Right now, everybody's really excited about kind of the palette, if you will, the
Yes.
aesthetics of it, and this
Yes.
510 horsepower engine.
Yeah.
you know,
To me, it's really just hey, our new motor is available, and this is what it's going to be.
yeah.
So anyway, on to the lowdown. It is on 42s. It has a 392, has Dana 60s with 538s. The 392 has 475 horsepower.
Amen. Just amen on that Jeep all together.
I mean, it's Neil
It's-
embodied in the vehicle.
yes,
Yep.
If
Right there.
and I love anything that is just seats, an engine, and
Yes.
big axles and tires.
That's pretty much where we got right there.
42-inch tires. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And really, let's just talk about my insecurities, vulnerabilities. I just need 42s in life.
Yes, I know you do.
Just a matter of time.
So
we
then-
need to get you true 42s, though, not your 40s that are actually only 37s.
Oh, see, you did a thing.
I thought they were 36s.
Oh, you're right. They
None
were.
of that is accurate. None of that is accurate. Nitto mud grapplers, we need to do better so that they can't beat me up. But they're like
I
38s.
don't remember
and a half.
Jeff doing all this when he didn't have 37.
I know, right? He's a big boy now. 37s. He's a big boy.
I was very happy to call it out when I did.
Uh-huh.
I know you did.
Uh-huh.
So, anyways,
we have
Fred,
yet to find a true 40, though.
Yeah, that's true.
realistically.
Fred's in the comments saying, "No way, I'll pay twice for a Grand Wagoneer over a Grand Cherokee." And then Daddy Jeep's in there going, "Can't lose with 42s."
Can't lose with 42s. I'm here for 42s. I want to know what they actually measure out. If you don't get the joke we're in on right now, it's like dimensional lumber. There's
Yes.
not a tire that actually is the size that it says it is. And the Grand Cherokee, I want to take a moment and say that Jeep just released that the Grand Cherokee starting MSRP is $36,000.
Say what?
I don't believe it.
Say what?
Right?
I'm traumatized.
$36,000.
I tried-
That's it.
I tried.
Yeah, but that's their starting MSRP. We
I
know
will-
that starting
But
MSRP
you're not
doesn't
getting crank
actually
windows.
exist.
But you're not getting crank windows. Like, what are you? $36,000
That
is a
means it
drop in
doesn't
the
exist.
bucket for that Grand Cherokee. I said Grand Cherokee, right? Not
Yeah.
Wagoneer.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, I got my Gladiator for 37.
I know you did, and I'm saying a Grand Cherokee right now has been like $50,000, like on everybody's lot for the past 3 or 4
Yeah,
years.
but
You know,
but there's what was their starting MSRP before that?
I don't know. I would love to know. I
Because
just know that
because
that was
once
a
you
big
add all
deal.
the packages and everything like
I don't
that,
want to add the packages. I just want to order one
I-
and use it as a mall cruiser.
I get that, but I bet you that it really was similar in price. I bet you it wasn't that much less.
I don't know.
Uh,
I
so-
don't know. Somebody needs to fact check us.
Ryan's in there going 42 is the new 37. Wait.
Yeah, Ryan, you're SOL, man.
Yeah.
Amy says they use man measurements.
Well, that's the mad scientist's wife, folks. Just
Take that as you will.
I'm not going to touch
Sorry,
that.
Scott. So Joe saying 36,000 for a pack of gum.
Oh man,
No.
Joe, that
No,
one
that one's
that's
definitely
$100,000+ for a
Yeah.
pack of gum, man. That's over the top. All right, so lower 40 inspired build,
Yes.
which is what are they calling it?
Lowdown.
Lowdown, which is a
well,
throwback.
Scott, give us the lowdown on it.
Oh, God, Jeff, that is terrible. Terrible.
So
Right now,
anyway,
folks.
Somebody had to do
Right
it.
now, folks, he's live.
So on to the next one, which is the Jeep Gladiator Rubicon high top concept, which is the brownish looking one there with no top on it there. It has an AEV front bumper with a Warn winch, RSC steps, deck bed system, Dana 60 axles, 40s, and KO3s. You had me up until the KO3s.
Why?
Yeah, what's wrong with the KO3s?
I just don't. You had 60s and they put all terrains on it.
Oh, you're just
Yes.
your frustrations. Yeah, but you know what? I gotta be honest with you. So I would have liked the KM series.
Yes.
Which that
It's a concept vehicle.
I would have liked the KM, but the KO3 is a relatively a brand new tire.
And I
And-
get that.
For our Southwestern experience, I don't know. I don't dislike it, and I gotta be honest. I love the color palette.
So it is on 18x9 KMC grenades with an AccuAir suspension.
Yeah. So
and
there's
I
there.
couldn't
So-
help myself but to be like, boy, all that sounds really familiar other than the all-terrains and the air suspension in 18s.
in a Gladiator build. You mean?
In a Gladiator build.
I wouldn't know any big Gladiators.
would not
you
know.
know that
That
may or
would
may not be
basically
Gracie.
a concept vehicle.
Be basically a concept
Yeah,
vehicle. Go figure.
Coming up. So Fred said paid 48 for my 2021 Grand Cherokee Limited L. So
So he's pretty good.
I mean that's a good price.
Yeah,
that is.
for an
That's a
L.
really
And
good
for an
price.
L, a
Yeah.
limited. Oh my God, I
But-
love that.
But that makes me think that 36 entry level price might have existed back then too.
I just wonder what it
Oh.
was. I mean, and maybe that's the case. I just want to see somebody actually order and receive a Grand Cherokee for $36,000. You know.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
All right, I want to get to my favorite concept vehicle. I'm so jazzed up on this one. It's so quirky.
the Willys dispatcher concept.
Oh, I'm
Let's
in
see if I
love.
can just move this image over.
I'm in
and We'll
love.
focus it in. There it is.
It looks spearminted to me.
It-
Is it not spearminted?
It looks like
Eh,
it looks like a forestry vehicle from 1950.
Oh, it's so cool.
Anyway, so it has a retro 8274 winch.
Oh, ba-boom,
Yes.
ba-boom,
Yep.
ba-boom.
That
This-
is right there.
And this part they should definitely bring to actual production.
What
They-
what are you trying to say over there?
They
was words.
they stamped Willys in the hood. It isn't
Ah.
a sticker. It is actually stamped.
And that
Cool.
was one of the ones that was teased. We saw the
Why?
stamping.
We did.
Why are we just now doing this?
So cool,
That should have been like day 2 of the Willys package.
right?
Anyway, it is 2.0 plug-in hybrid, which 375 horse, 410 foot-pounds of
That
torque.
is
There
our,
it is.
our,
It
our
speaks right to
4-cylinder 4xe in retro clothing. Just wait, this one is so cool.
and
Just keep
and
going.
then they're going to show us all the things we're not allowed to
What,
have.
what was
All
the,
the
wait,
things
wait,
we're
before we
not
get,
allowed to
Before
have.
we get to all that, what was the color that they listed this as?
I honestly haven't seen the color.
It basically just talked about a retro color.
I was gonna say because it doesn't look like the Spearmint to me. It
It's
looks a little
non-metallic.
darker,
It's very much like I said, something that
kind of
belongs on a
kind of a
50s
flatter
vehicle.
color.
I mean, it has saddle leather interior. Like
Yes.
this is out of my dream build
with low backs.
with
which
low
is-
backs.
which would never happen in a crash test.
No,
No.
God, no. This one's
But-
getting crushed.
This
Everybody.
this is an off-road vehicle only.
So then they teased me with something I didn't know existed. Jeff needs this.
Oh,
Vinyl floor.
Yep.
From Jeep Performance, which tells me that if you go talk to the right person at your dealership, you might be able to order that.
No.
no.
And onboard air,
Why?
Also from
why do
Jeep
I need
Performance.
vinyl?
because you're always complaining about your carpet getting wet.
I don't know. That's you. My carpet's gone.
He took his carpet out like years ago. I'm fairly certain.
yeah.
Yeah. And then they did something. I scratched my heads, and I looked at
this
like
is
a
the
high pitched sound.
You're getting to the axles.
Dana 50s.
Dana 50s.
Was there a discount on
What?
some old Ford axles somewhere?
Dana 50s.
They had
and
spent all the money, and they're like, "What are we gonna do now?" We're like, "Hey, I have these old 50s from this F250. I can't get rid of."
it is so quirky. I don't understand it. It is on Dana 50s with 470 gears,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So we're talking like legitimate
Bargain
throwback.
basement discount somewhere.
Weird gears, weird axles on 16s, which
And then they tried to win me back with 36s.
36s.
I'm here for
I
some weird
mean-
tires, man.
You are here for weird, man. That is the reality situation. This thing is so quirky, and the piece that I love is in the aesthetics is the two-tone. So a kind of vintage retro styling. You have your windshield frame in the
Yes.
50s to the 60s
Was black.
was black,
Yes.
or an opposite color
the
to
color
the vehicle.
palette on this 100% with the wheel color, the windshield, and the color of the vehicle is 100% a throwback to 50s era Jeeps.
Yeah,
This is
and
a color I've literally seen on a CJ5 from like the late 50s.
And it's got kind
I
of that
love
modern
it.
twist with the 24 grill on there, and
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's just the
I
the
couldn't help
marriage
but
of
have my eye twitched that the Gladiator doesn't really look like it has a 24 grill. Looks like it's a 23 grill almost.
interesting.
Because
Huh.
I'm still convinced. I'm not
Well, 'cause
convinced
the-
the 24s exist.
the-
I'm so beaten down.
I'm with you. As far as I'm concerned, you're not going to see that new grill till the 25 Gladiators.
I've seen a couple people stand beside 24 Gladiators, but I have yet to actually see one in true steel.
Huh. Well, I'm absolutely tickled by the dispatcher, the Wagoneer. Obviously, we took Jeep Chrysler Corporation took a nap on the Magneto series.
Yeah.
They had been doing the lead up of the big horsepower, fully electrified vehicle,
I
Yeah,
really
because they had
think-
Magneto, then they had Magneto 2.0,
and then they had 3.0. Honestly,
I think
Um,
what you see is this is definitely kind of they're seeing the temperature of the climate of the enthusiasts, and I think there's some people that are really excited about the electrification, but some aren't.
sure.
And I think that's why you see 392. It's literally says it everywhere. They went and found the guy from the 60s that made like all the road runners with the big wings and everything. We're like, listen, I know you're old, but we need you to come back and plaster 392 on everywhere where it needs to be on this Jeep. That's the kind of inappropriate amount of 392 on that vehicle. So they really wanted you to realize it has a Hemi under the hood.
So back into the comments here, Joe's saying the Willys has the old school fee, and Bill is
Feel.
saying
Feel is the word
Feel.
that you want to say. You want to say the word
okay, Jeff.
feel, producer.
I feel like Scott for a moment there.
Uh-huh.
And then Bill is saying Billy needs a Willy.
I think we all could we could all enjoy a ride on that Willie. So.
Well,
Great for yourself.
as far as the other piece that I'm going to get back to that Wagoneer real quick. That's a
he's quick to
straight
change
six.
cup.
Yes.
That Wagoneer was a
That's-
straight 6. So
Right.
when it comes to powertrain of these 4, we have that 510 horsepower engine is a straight 6.
Yes.
3.0 engine. So
Yeah.
so we talk about straight motors, inline motors, and their torque band is automatically going to be increased over a V design. It just is what
Yes.
it is.
I've seen people the performance side of Stellantis, that all went out and had Hellcats, are all talking themselves down, being like, well, they're going to have this new 3.0 straight 6 motor, and it's going to be like almost 600 horsepower. So maybe they'll put that in a next Hellcat.
Sure.
So definitely have seen quite a bit of press about this oncoming motor.
Absolutely. So we have this prototype motor, which I'm super excited about. And then we have the 392, which is just,
Last blast. of it.
America, absolutely V8. Then we have the Pentastar 3.6 in the Gladiator, which
Yep.
it's just a proven platform that just flat out works
I
and
just don't want to
creates-
give us Gladiator people anything cool, so we just keep soldiering along with our 3.6s.
whatever. And then you have the
Not
4xe,
triggered at all.
the 4xe, 2.0. And so I gotta say, like, even if they only give us these 4, which I think is absolutely
Be
acceptable,
okay.
these are 4 really cool platforms to
Yeah.
kind of dream on.
There's
and
something for
and to-
everyone.
There is.
Yeah.
There is, because what you'll see on our upcoming YouTube video is that some of the Jeeps, they're kind of meh. You know what I mean? They'd bring
Yeah.
7 or 8 Jeeps, and 3 of them would be standouts, and then
Right.
3 of them would just be like, hey, you just brought your regular Wheeler and branded it Jeep and moved on with life.
100%.
The history is really cool. You're going to want to check out that video and see what the mothership was doing back in the early years and bringing some of those full-size trucks. And
You know what they could have done with the Gladiator would have been really cool? Have a diesel in it. Just saying.
well, maybe they won't, but SFJ 4x4 will.
Yes.
That's right.
And you'll want to hang into our social media to kind of continue to see those builds, which we're affectionately calling Johnny 5. And so if you know and you've watched some of our social, you'll see that what and who and how Johnny 5 is coming along, because we obviously are bringing a 3.0 Eco Diesel and making it come alive for all the Hurstpurs in the process.
Johnny 5 is alive.
Yep. And then, like I said, check out this upcoming YouTube video. I was going to say it's interesting because the first official recount is 2008. That's when they first kind of officially recorded this. I think it's interesting to think that in 08, we only had a year of the JK.
Mhm.
So those early years, we've got an XJ out there at Easter Jeep Safari from Jeep, right? We're only 7 years removed from the XJ
Yeah.
platform. We've got an LJ out there. We've got a couple JKs. We've got a full-size Dodge Ram. I actually think that's really cool.
Yes.
I like this showing here, but the diversity of the brand has always appealed to me.
So,
Good, bad, and otherwise.
Of all the concepts we've seen, what's your favorite? Or for any year?
So I typically fall back on pork chop,
Mhm.
and pork chop and lower 40 are kind of the same. Pork chop,
Yeah,
is-
it's like they keep revising it almost.
yeah, I mean it just appeals to those of us who just want to sit on an engine that is still a street legal vehicle,
I'll
right?
go back as far
versus
as
a buggy.
kind of the Hurricane was kind of the first rendition, and then they just kept making it
So
more
we never
practical.
saw the Hurricane at Easter Jeep Safari.
Oh, okay.
And that's the difference between a prototype and a concept vehicle.
I see.
And so the Hurricane, if you are unfamiliar, was debuted at one of the auto shows, and I couldn't tell you which one offhand. And the Hurricane had 4-wheel independent
Yes.
steer,
With a Hemi.
and it was awesome. And actually, did it have uno Hemi or dos Hemis?
I've
Because
seen
later
both.
on, I was going to say later on, the drawing gives it dos Hemis, a rear
I think
Hemi
it
and a
was
front Hemi.
I think that's, like I said, they kind of taken the same idea and redone it more and more and more.
Yeah.
And you can see like the pedigree from one to the other.
Right.
They've called it different names at this point, but the idea to me I can go, well, I can see the relation back to that original
Sure.
concept start.
And
And Daddy Jeep's in the comments saying that he had just said pork chop himself as
yeah,
well.
that's that one for me is this kind of this official start of strip all the excess weight out of the vehicle,
Yeah,
give it
a big
a big motor, give it big axles and tires, and just let it do work, right?
Yeah.
Just let it eat on the trails. And it was kind of an homage to the hot rodding industry where you just tried to make a stripper and just run it, you
Yeah.
know?
Fred liked a couple years ago the blue 2-door Cherokee that looked like the older Cherokee wide track.
Yep.
Yep, that
Yeah.
was pretty cool.
The kind of the Chief inspired
Yeah.
build. Like I said, you're going to want to check out our YouTube video where we, kind of showcase a number of those concept vehicles over the years. Do you guys have one that stands out to you one way or the other?
Mine's so easy to pick. It was called Jeepster Beach. It was
Yep.
from 21. It was a 67 Jeepster.
Yep.
With a 2.0 4-cylinder, twin scroll turbo,
Yep.
270 horse with 295 foot-pounds of torque, and it had a JL interior in it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, where do I get it?
I as just kind of quirky and people know that I oftentimes have a love-hate joking relationship with the Grand Cherokee crowd. I actually probably one of my favorite ones was the throwback for the ZJ Grand Cherokee, where they actually did, I want to say it was a 25-year anniversary of the Grand Cherokee. They actually used a 93 body with a JK or JL interior. I don't recall exactly offhand, but just a super cool, clean
That is
ZJ Grand
one
Cherokee.
thing that they have done a couple times now is we've had some really cool, like we go and find a vintage Jeep and
Yes.
and hot rod it,
Yeah.
lack of a better term. And we've gotten some pretty cool. They've had an FC, they've had this Jeepster.
Yep.
A couple times now. Full sizes have been in there a couple times.
You're going to want to watch my this upcoming Life and Low Range YouTube video because I actually talk about one or two vehicles that have not been used that I would like to see used in the future as kind of a cool throwback retro build.
And just looking from here, it looks like Davey is actively working to get that video released.
Yeah,
he's
we should
working
see
away on
that.
it.
We're attempting to be early to market on the YouTubes, and so any help that you can give us in the process of sharing that amongst the other Jeep and off-road enthusiasts, we would greatly appreciate. Yeah, I'm really excited for what this brings, folks. You're gonna be without us next week. We hope that you have a blessed and fun Easter weekend. I know that if you're out west, enjoy EJS. If you're local, there's a number of local clubs doing Good Friday rides. Yeah, I know. Whatever.
Scott's contagious this morning.
Yeah, and they're doing a number of Good Friday rides. So there's definitely some stuff to engage in. We'll be back for the following
for a special totality episode.
So definitely some things to look forward to. We've got a lot of Jeeps to put our hands on here. So without further ado, Jeep on.
Jeep on.
Jeep on.